Night fell over occupied Europe, and somewhere in a dim Berlin office, German intelligence officers leaned over grainy photographs taken from high altitude. The images showed a massive structure rising from the flat farmland of Michigan, longer than anything they had ever seen. At first glance, it looked unreal, like a city without streets, a factory without end. The spies stared in silence, counting shadows, tracing lines with trembling fingers. This was not just another American plant. This was something else entirely, something terrifying. The Ford Motor Company, a name Germans knew well, had built cars that once rolled proudly through Berlin streets. Henry Ford himself was admired in Germany before the war, praised for his industrial genius. That familiarity made what they were seeing even harder to believe. This was not a car factory. This was a machine designed to build war itself, and it was moving at a speed no one thought possible. On the edge of Detroit, the Willow Run plant stretched nearly a mile long, a steel giant humming day and night. Inside, raw aluminum entered at one end, and completed B-24 Liberator bombers emerged at the other. To German spies, this alone sounded like propaganda. Aircraft factories were slow, complex, fragile. One mistake could delay production for weeks, yet the reports kept coming in, each more alarming than the last. Ford wasn't just assembling planes. They were reinventing how war was manufactured. By 1943, the numbers reached Germany like a punch to the chest. One fully completed four-engine bomber every 63 minutes, not parts, not sections, an entire aircraft. More than one. 5 million individual parts moving through a single flowing system. Rivets, wiring, engines, guns, glass, all synchronized with ruthless precision. German analysts rechecked the math again and again, convinced it had to be wrong. No nation on Earth could sustain that pace. But the planes kept appearing in the skies. Inside Willow Run, the human cost of this miracle was everywhere. Farm boys from Iowa stood beside former housewives from Detroit. Teenagers worked next to men too old for the front. Many had never seen an airplane up close before the war. Now they built them, their hands blistered from rivet guns. Their ears rang from the endless roar of machinery. They worked double shifts under fluorescent lights, driven by a single shared fear. If they slowed down, someone overseas would die. The assembly line itself became a weapon. Ford engineers broke the bomber down into thousands of steps, each timed to the second. A wing moved forward whether it was finished or not. If a worker fell behind, the line did not wait. Supervisors shouted. Stopwatches clicked. Somewhere above it all, American flags hung from the rafters, reminding everyone why the pressure never stopped. German spies tried to understand how it was possible. In Europe, factories were bombed, power was unreliable, materials were scarce. At Willow Run, trains arrived on schedule, electricity never failed, and the skies were safe. America's greatest advantage wasn't just resources. It was distance. While Germany burned, America built. The shock turned into dread when Luftwaffe commanders saw the results. The Liberator was not elegant, but it was everywhere, over Italy, over the Atlantic, over Germany itself. Crews joked that if you looked down and didn't see a B-24, you must be flying blind. Each bomber carried 10 men. 10 lives trusting metal, shaped by strangers thousands of miles away. At Willow Run, mistakes still happened. Entire sections were scrapped. Engines failed tests. Workers cried in bathrooms after 12-hour shifts. But the line never stopped. When winter storms froze Michigan roads, employees slept in their cars to make it to work. When news came of heavy losses over Europe, production targets quietly increased. German intelligence finally understood the truth too late. This was not just a factory. It was an answer to everything the right could not replace. Pilots could be trained, tactics could change, cities could be fortified. But there was no defense against an enemy who could outbuild your losses faster than you could count them. By mid-1944, Willow Run was producing more bombers than all German factories combined. The plant had become a symbol whispered about in intelligence briefings, a place spoken of with disbelief and fear. And yet, inside its walls, most workers had no idea German spies even existed. They just kept building hour after hour, plane after plane, as the war's weight pressed closer and closer to its breaking point, as the war moved into its final, brutal phase. The tempo inside Willow Run became almost unreal. The factory no longer measured time in hours or days, but in bombers. Another Liberator rolled out, another serial number painted, another crew somewhere overseas waiting for a machine they prayed would bring them home. The workers felt it even if they didn't speak it aloud. Each finished aircraft carried invisible fingerprints, a silent promise from people who would never meet the men climbing aboard. In Europe, German pilots watched the skies darken. They had been told American morale would crack, that production would slow, that civilian enthusiasm would fade. Instead, the opposite happened. Bombing raids grew larger, more frequent, more relentless. When one formation turned back, another followed. The logic was horrifyingly simple. Even perfect defenses could not stop an enemy who could replace losses almost instantly. Willow Run became a destination for foreign observers and American politicians, all eager to witness the impossible. They walked the endless floor, stunned by the river of aluminum flowing past them. The smell of oil and hot metal clung to their clothes. Guides shouted over the noise, explaining how a bomber now took less time to build than it once took to park a car at a factory gate. Cameras flashed. Newspapers printed numbers that barely felt real, but beneath the pride, exhaustion set in. By late 1944, many workers were running on nerves alone. Some had lost sons or husbands in the very aircraft they built. Others dreaded opening telegrams at the kitchen table, yet most returned to the line the next morning, not because they were ordered to, but because stopping felt worse. The German intelligence files grew thinner, their tone more desperate. Reports spoke of industrial catastrophe. Analysts admitted defeat not on the battlefield, but in arithmetic. Germany simply could not match this scale. Even captured Allied pilots spoke of Willow Run with awe, describing it like a myth made of steel. The idea that a single factory could tilt the balance of a global war was no longer theory. It was fact. In April 1945, as Allied troops closed in on Berlin, Willow Run was still producing bombers. There was no celebration when the end came, just a slow exhale. Machines powered down, the endless line finally stopped moving. Workers stood quietly, unsure what came next. Some cried, some laughed. Most just stared at the silent floor where the war had passed through their hands. When victory was declared, the factory that had terrified German spies became strangely ordinary again. The bombers faded into storage yards and scrap yards. The workers returned to normal lives, carrying memories they rarely shared. Willow Run itself would change owners, change purposes, fade into history. But for a brief, decisive moment, it had been the loudest heartbeat of American industry. A place where fear, hope, exhaustion, and determination fused into something unstoppable. German spies had been right to be shocked. They weren't just watching a factory. They were watching the future of warfare being assembled in real time, one bomber every 63 minutes until the war itself finally ran out of time.